Kelly Clarkson had been invited to today with Jenna and friends for what was meant to be a warm and lively segment promoting her latest album, upcoming tours, and a charitable foundation she had recently launched to help underprivileged youth pursue music. The set was dressed in bright colors, mugs steaming with coffee on the table, and a live studio audience eager to see one of America's most beloved singers. Jenna Bush Hager, with her usual bubbly energy, welcomed Kelly on air as though greeting an old friend, their laughter blending naturally for the first few minutes. The conversation started safe, funny travel mishaps, her kids' latest antics, and behind-the-scenes stories from the recording studio. But beneath the cheerful banter, the producers had whispered in Jenna's ear before the show began. The segment needed a viral moment, and that meant pressing into Kelly's personal life. Jenna waited for the right opening before casually dropping the first pointed question about whether certain lyrics in Kelly's new single were about a public feud with another singer. Kelly smiled politely, buying herself a moment with a sip of coffee, but her eyes flickered with the kind of warning her fans recognized. The audience gave an audible "oh," sensing the shift. "You know," Kelly replied, "I write from a place of truth, but it's not my job to confirm people's gossip." Jenna grinned, but the spark of tension had been lit, and social media viewers in the livestream chat were already typing frantically. "Here we go." Kelly tried steering the discussion toward her charity gala, describing how proceeds would fund free music classes for kids in low-income areas, her voice warming as she spoke. The audience clapped, genuinely touched by her passion. But Jenna's producers, hungry for more drama, fed another question through her earpiece. "Ask about the rumors tied to Kelly's divorce." Jenna nodded, almost imperceptibly, and with a faux tone said, "So, your fans have been wondering if that heartbreaking chorus about betrayal in your song was about your ex's band." Kelly's smile thinned. She answered calmly at first, "I think people can connect to my music because it's universal, not because it's a diary entry about my life." Jenna chuckled. "But you've never been shy about speaking your truth, right? That's what we love." Kelly's eyes sharpened as she replied, "There's a difference between speaking your truth and being baited for ratings." The studio audience gasped. It was the kind of line that instantly trended. Hashtags #Kelly vs Jenna and #Today's Show drama started climbing on X and Instagram, even as the interview was still live. Jenna's smile faltered for a fraction of a second, then snapped back into place. "Kelly, we're just asking what everyone is curious about," she insisted. Kelly let out a small laugh without humor. "Curiosity isn't the same thing as respect," she said, leaning slightly forward. "I'm here to talk about my music, my tours, and the causes I care about, not to provide you with gossip headlines." The co-host, sitting nearby nervously, interjected with a suggestion to move on to a light-hearted game, but Jenna waved her off. "Come on, Kelly," she pressed. "You've built a career on honesty. If those lyrics aren't about him, just say so." Kelly shook her head. "If I wanted to talk about him, trust me, I would, and I wouldn't do it here." The audience reacted again, some cheering her boundary setting, while others exchanged wide-eyed looks. Clips of this moment were already being and shared with captions like, "Kelly shutting it down." By now, the energy in the studio had shifted entirely. The air felt heavier, the laughter more strained. Kelly placed her coffee mug down deliberately, the clink echoing just enough to make the moment feel more final. "The real me," she said in a steady voice, "values authenticity, and that means knowing when to say no." Jenna, sensing the growing tension, but perhaps unwilling to back down, offered a sweet smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Of course," she said, "but I think your fans want all of you, not just the polished version." Kelly's jaw tightened. "My fans know me," she replied. "They've been with me for 20 years. They don't need you to dig through my personal life to feel connected." The audience broke into applause at that, some even standing briefly. Jenna's co-host shifted uncomfortably, throwing another lifeline toward moving on, but Jenna ignored it, now fully locked into this dangerous push-pull dynamic. Then Jenna crossed the one line that had been agreed upon in the pre-show, meaning no questions about ongoing legal disputes. Yet, there it was. She leaned in and asked, "And what about that recent court case? People say it might have inspired some of your songs, too." The room seemed to stop. Kelly blinked once, slowly, as though deciding whether to even dignify the question with a response. "You really want to go there?" she asked, her voice low but carrying across the studio. Jenna, emboldened by the buzz she could feel building, replied, "I think the viewers at home want the truth." Kelly tilted her head, then gave a half-smile that didn't touch her eyes. "The truth is, you're being disrespectful right now." The audience reacted loudly, some clapping in support, others murmuring. On social media, the clip spread instantly, with comments ranging from "Kelly just ended her" to "Jenna went to far." Kelly leaned back in her chair, folding her arms. "You invited me here to talk about my work," she said, "and I've been nothing but open about that. But you're not interested in my work. You're interested in headlines." Jenna's co-host tried again, more desperately this time, to pivot into a pre-planned musical trivia game, but Jenna waved her off, unable to let go of the chase. "Kelly, I think your fans want you to be real about the pain that shaped your music." Kelly gave a small laugh, the kind that's equal parts disbelief and frustration. "Pain is real, Jenna, but so is dignity." The line landed hard, met with another burst of applause. Jenna's cheeks flushed slightly, but she smiled. Through it, as if determined to keep the upper hand, the atmosphere now felt like a chess match being played in front of millions. The tension became unbearable. Kelly glanced toward the camera, then toward the audience. And finally back at Jenna. "I think we're done here," she said plainly. Jenna's eyes widened slightly, realizing this was no empty threat. "Kelly, no, we've got a few more minutes," she said with a forced laugh, reaching out a hand. Kelly didn't take it. "I'm here for meaningful conversation, not tabloid bait," she replied, her voice calm but firm. The audience murmured. Phones lifted to record as they realized something rare was happening live. On Twitter, a flood of posts erupted. "Kelly just walked off live TV." The control room went into panic mode, producers gesturing wildly behind the cameras to salvage the segment. Kelly stood up slowly, smoothing her dress as she did. The camera tried to keep her framed, but she was already gathering her notes and coffee mug. "Thanks for having me," she said, but her tone was final, signaling there would be no return to casual chatter. Jenna attempted a last-minute save. "Kelly, don't go. We can talk about your album, I promise." Kelly glanced over her shoulder. "Maybe next time, Jenna, when the invitation is genuine." That sentence landed like a final blow. The audience broke into scattered applause, some booing softly at Jenna's persistence. The co-host's face was pale as she quickly cut to a commercial break. But the damage was already done. The cameras had caught every moment. The walk-off became instant internet history. Within minutes, clips flooded TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube, each with their own captions and angles. Kelly Clarkson shuts down Jenna Bush Hager trended worldwide within the hour. Analysts on entertainment news channels debated who was at fault, while morning radio hosts replayed the audio on loop. Fans defended Kelly fiercely, praising her for setting boundaries and refusing to be cornered. Others argued that Jenna was just doing her job. But the raw, unfiltered tension of the moment made it irresistible to audiences, and every replay seemed to deepen the public fascination. Later that day, Kelly addressed the incident subtly on her own social media, posting a photo from rehearsal with the caption, "Talking about music is always worth my time." The message was clear without naming names. Jenna, meanwhile, opened the next day's show with a vague statement about sometimes live TV takes unexpected turns, smiling through what had clearly been a PR storm. But in the court of public opinion, the moment had already been decided. Kelly's walk-off was a rare act of live defiance that people would remember for years. It became one of those cultural flashpoints, replayed in compilations of most awkward talk show moments. A testament to how a single unscripted decision can eclipse an entire planned segment, and how sometimes walking away says more than staying ever could. Kelly Clarkson had been invited to Today with Jenna and Friends for what was meant to be a warm and lively segment, promoting her latest album, upcoming tours, and a charitable foundation she had recently launched to help underprivileged youth pursue music. The set was dressed in bright colors, mugs steaming with coffee on the table, and a live studio audience eager to see one of America's most beloved singers. Jenna Bush Hager, with her usual bubbly energy, welcomed Kelly on air as though greeting an old friend, their laughter blending naturally for the first few minutes. The conversation started, safe,